We are working in winter wheat. The new one here is that we are selecting from the beginning under organic conditions. These plants, these lines have been selected during the whole selection process under organic conditions and we have a high selection pressure over Fusarium head blight. That is a big problem because with the vomitoxin and the vomitoxin in the grain, you cannot save the grain. Then the ideas have very adapted to the Midwest, very good adaptation to the Midwest and stable genotypes that could overcome like variation, climatic variation, things like that, with good disease resistance and good baking quality. Baking quality is important to be because it's like different sell. It's like the overpriced to sell the grain for the grain for baking than sell it for feed. It's like important. And then in this project we start with like 52 advanced lines, and we have been selected during the last 4 years in the Midwest, like in Illinois and Wisconsin. We start in experimental farms, and now in the last 2 years we have been testing these experiments on farmers' farms. It's a little, it's in the literature, normally exists difference between the plots that I have in the experimental field and the farmers' fields. Normally in the experimental fields yield a little more than the idea is having these lines outside in real farms, real environments, planting late because rain a lot and the farmer could not harvest the crop that was before, things like that. And normally in the experimental farms we don't have that problem. Then also we are selecting at the same time these lines for baking quality, and we are doing quality tests in these lines. We have been increasing seed from these lines and doing baking tests over the last 3 years. And the idea is make everyone happy, make happy the bakers and the farmers, and that the baker will be buy seed grain, that have good baking quality in almost all years. And baker and farmers could plant a crop that could yield stable during the years. We are not achieving to the highest yield. We are achieving like 80% of the highest yields with good quality. That means that it's like not the conventional selecting shoes for high yielding. We are selecting for different size, and we are selecting for different things. Like we have a huge pressure over the disease part, and a huge pressure over the stability and the baking quality.
So this winter wheat project is also funded by some organic research initiatives, and the idea of this project came from actually the stakeholders. So we get a group of farmers and bakers and millers from Wisconsin who were interested in growing this, and we have a lot of those stakeholders involved. And then we have a lot of
Okay.
we have a lot of collaboration with bakers and farmers, and some of those are here. And we have the Michael Fields Institute that are doing on-farm. We are doing on-farm research with them, and then Meadowlark Organics is also having plots for on-farm research. And the idea is to have all of that information combined so that when we have a variety ready, it's not just in our minds, but it's also a community effort in the breeding, where there is interest from the farmers to growing those particular varieties, and they have seen them. There is also interest from the bakers and millers in buying that, and they will use it because it's very good. And with that, I'm going to pass it to Julie Dawson, who is a great collaborator, and we have been working together on all of this grain initiative.
If someone wants to plant wheat next fall, just let me know. I have seed.
Great. Thanks, Pablo. So I just want to quick give an overview of some of the quality testing we're doing with these. Pablo has been doing a lot of analysis on stability and stability of yield and quality. So one of the things that we're looking for are lines that are going to perform well for farmers over multiple years and also for bakers, because one of the things we hear from bakers a lot in working with local grains is that they need to adjust every time they get a new lot, and that of course takes time and effort. And so the more we can produce grain that has stable quality and high quality, the easier it is for them to use local grains. So the lines that we've been evaluating here were initially crosses between varieties with high baking quality from Europe and often land races or historic varieties from France that had good artisanal bread making quality that had been evaluated in organic systems there, and then varieties from the States that had good winter hardiness and good adaptation to organic conditions. And then we've been selecting them, and Lisa Kisinkusik, who's with the USDA and works on forages now, was really involved in that at the beginning. So we work with a group of bakers, and first the agronomic performance is evaluated, and the lines that do well for disease resistance and yield are moved to plots where we can produce enough grain to actually do a bake test with bakers. Those then are milled. Meadowlark has been doing the milling for us, so it's a commercial quality flour, very similar to what the bakers are already purchasing locally. And then the group of bakers does a sourdough whole grain bread for each variety. And we did this in person for 2 years, and then it was remote this past year for obvious reasons. And they're able to tell us at each stage how the varieties are performing, what could be better, what is good. We have several lines that are performing really well. We found one that was very unstable during the process, so we want stability over years, but also stability during their baking process, so that they're not constantly, trying to adjust the water or the amount of time that something performs very predictably. So we've had 2 lines that have come out with sequential tests that are good, and we have more that we have in increases that we'll be evaluating this year. We've also done some quality testing with them with barley. We've done pitas and cookies with the naked barley, and naked barley has a real advantage for food use because the bottleneck often for local grains in the hulled grains, so barley, emmer, einkorn, dehulling is a major bottleneck for bakers or chefs to use those. And so naked barley could go straight into a mill and a bakery, and so we've been doing some testing on that. And then we've just started working some with Kernza. This summer we're doing some recipe development with the bakers because it's quite new to a lot of people, and there's some that have been working with it for several years who are helping us develop some test recipes that then we can use to evaluate some of the breeding lines coming out of the big project that Valentine is involved with. So any questions on that? I know we're headed to lunch.